So welcome to our March meeting, and hopefully we only have to do this maybe another 2 or 3 times. Wouldn't that be great? And then when we come back in September, we can all be together again. That's our hope. So I just wanted to give you an update on the Great Frame Up Show. A few of you are in that show, and we had 22 artists signed up with 95 pieces and a lot of gift shop items. So it's a really nice show. It looks good. We've got great art. And next, I think it's Wednesday or Thursday, the judge is coming in to judge the pieces. Then we'll have a best of 2D, best of 3D, and best of photography. So that will be fun, and they'll get a beautiful big ribbon and a certificate. And yeah, and bragging rights, of course. So the hanging went really well. Everybody got a good spot, and they each got their own panel, which worked out perfectly. Now, we're going to have the June show. How many have been in our June show before? Anybody? The June show is in June, normally. And it's at the Boulder County Fairgrounds, Barn A. We have signed the contract to hold our spot, but talking to the fairgrounds today, they don't know for sure if they're opening or not. So we don't know if our show will be in person or virtual, but one way or the other, we will have a show. So watch for the emails that are going to include the applications and all the details. I'm going to put together a sign-up list for volunteers to help, because each artist is required to work the show if we have it in person. Again, who knows? So watch for future announcements on all of that. Then we have our fair, the show at the fair, if they have the fair. It's all up in the air. And another email I got regarding the fair is they're going to have something, but they don't know how much. It might just be 4-H exhibits, or it could be the whole exhibit hall will be open, but no carnival. So that we're waiting for. And that's the end of July, first part of August. And so we have a little time for that one. We now have a new PR person, and she is going to get the word out a lot more than we've been able to in the past. We might even be on TV. Yes. Although I'm going to have Christina be the star of the show. I'm too shy. But it would be with our local Channel 8. And so we'll find out more tomorrow. We're actually going to go meet with him. And yeah, that's pretty much all the announcements that I have. Anything else that I'm missing? I just wrote my notes out. Oh, one good bit of news I didn't mention for the Great Frame Up Show. They're going to give us an extra month. So we'll be exhibiting there until the first part of May instead of April. So that's pretty awesome. More chances to get our work exposed as well as to sell our pieces. So the student art show that they usually have at the fairgrounds, the in-person show has been canceled, but the district is having a virtual show. So when that show is up and going, I will send you the link so you can go and look at all the wonderful art from the whole school district, all the kids from kindergarten up to senior high school. And LAG is going to give awards. So we're the only people that are awarding the kids this year, which is sad, but at least we're doing that for them. So yeah, and I think that is all. So I'm going to turn it over to Janet. Janet Strickler has been a member with us for up teen years. And she does these wonderful workshops called Play Day.
Play shops.
I've taken quite a few of her workshops. They're so much fun and free. They're not free, but I mean, they're freeing. So you have a chance to play with all this fun material. So Janet's going to do a special one for us today. So I'll turn it over to you, Janet.
Thanks, Susan. Yeah, you're going to get a little mini play shop today. So I'm Janet Strickler. I grew up in Boulder County and have lived in Longmont for 21 years this summer, or 20 years this summer. And have been an artist for, well, off and on since I was in kindergarten. But, you know, professionally or semi-professionally for 25 years or so. And I'm a mixed media artist, as you can kind of tell by the chaos and behind me here. I will make art out of almost anything. And so my play shops explore a lot of different kinds of things rather than a lot of artists who teach one thing like painting, watercolor painting or something like that. I teach something different every month. So I have just started teaching a few online play shops until it gets safe for people to gather at my studio again. So if you're interested in that, you can email me at janartist@gmail.com, and I would be happy to put you on the email list for future play shops. A lot of Longmont Artists Guild people have been my students over the years. My play shops tend to be geared towards people who are not artists, or at least friendly towards people who are not artists. But what I've found is that the artists who take them like to experiment with something that's outside their usual medium and have that kind of free creative play space where they don't have to be good at what they're doing. And so very creative. So one of the things I've been doing this year is some explorations in what I call contemplative mark making. And I am actually teaching a play shop on that in about a week and a half, if anyone's interested in it. Jill Rumley took it last time I taught it and really enjoyed herself. She's not here to give me a review, but and so what we're doing tonight is kind of a spin-off of that, of just one. I got a little focused on one particular kind of mark making, and so that's what we're going to talk about and do. So first of all, does everybody have some paper and a pen or a pencil or something. You won't need them instantly because I'm going to show you some slides first, but we're going to do a few exercises with this. So, and it can be, if you have, you know, crayons or pastels or whatever you happen to have handy, but this is something you can totally do with just pen and paper. So what we're going to talk about tonight is circles specifically. And I have a little slideshow to show you just kind of a really fast trip through the world of circles. Hopefully this will be kind of fun. And then we'll do some exercises and make circles ourselves. So, all right, so our circles are just kind of built into our world to a great extent. Of course, we live on a sphere. Our sun is a sphere. It's a little hard to look at directly. So the one that we see the most in nature is the moon. There are also circles kind of all around us in different places. So here's water drops falling into a pond, and the ripples that they make are circles that, in this case, with lots of water drops, kind of interlock and make beautiful patterns. We have circles representing growth, in this case, of a tree. And I want you to remember these particular circles when you go to start making your own, and remember that they don't have to be perfectly round. The growth rings of a tree, you know, have so much character, so much more interesting to look at than if they were completely round. And then on a much smaller scale, some more rings that come from the growth of a plant in the form of an onion. Circles have also been part of something humans have done for a great many years. And one of the ways that has shown up in various different parts of the world that humans have made circles is on the earth itself and with the earth itself. So this earthwork is in the Golan Heights, dates back about 5,000 years. Looking at it, you don't initially realize the scale or the size of it, but if you look down towards the left-hand corner, this is a cow. So it's quite an enormous, it's probably several hundred feet across, earthwork of stones. And here's one that's much better known to us Westerners. This dates to 2200 BCE, the Stonehenge. We are all familiar with that circle of standing stones that was there, but from this view, you also can see that it's embedded in another much larger circle and older, which was there before the standing stones, as far as they can tell, another earthwork of having sculpted the land into a circle. And here's another one. This is Arbor Low Neolithic henge, and also in the British Isles. Much more deeply sculpted earthwork. And then a circle of stones. And this one's actually in North America. This is in Wyoming, Bighorn Medicine Wheel, it's called. We don't know the date for sure on this. It's at least 500 or 600 years old, but could be much older than that. And this is one that acts, the thought is that it acts somewhat like a calendar. There's 28 of those rays or sections around it, corresponding with the cycle of the moon. humans have also made circles is on a much smaller scale in terms of mark making. So this is from Petroglyph National Monument in Arizona. There's wonderful circles there at the left. These are scratched into the surface of the stone, which is after weathering for thousands of years, gets this patina, this desert patina, this black surface, and then the designs are scratched into that. Here's another old North American circles in rock art, but this one is, rather than being scratched into the surface of the rock, is painted onto the surface with a pigment, probably red ochre or something. We humans have also used circles to represent time. We kind of experience time as circular, repeating itself around the cycle of a month with the moon, as we saw in that medicine wheel, around the cycle of a year, through the cycles of lifetimes that the cycle of birth and growing up and aging and death that happen all around us all the time. So this is a Aztec calendar. And here's a much more recent way that we envision time as a circle, this face of a grandfather clock. We've also stored things in circles for much of human history. This is Neolithic, so a couple thousand years BCE, maybe 4,000 years old, Chinese terracotta vessel. The vessel itself is round, is a circle. The opening is a circle. The decorations on this one also are circles. This is a Navajo wedding basket. This is actually a more modern version of that, but once again, a container that's a circle, and the decoration is circles. This coiled basket shape is really a spiral rather than a circle, but by not closing that red circle there, that red row there, they've made it seem more like a circle and less like a spiral, I think, in this. And here's another container. This is an Acoma pot, familiar to us who live in the Southwest, in the West. And once again, the shape itself is a circle, and then the decorations, you can't really see well from this angle, but this pattern is made by interlocking circles. And then here, completely different part of the world, is some lovely ceramic dishes from Turkey, from Istanbul. All of them round, but some of them also including other circles in the designs. We've also paid for things with circles for about as long as there have been coins. Not all coins are circular or round, but really vast majority of them are. The ones that are other shapes, like rectangular, square, hexagonal, tend to have rounded corners because that helps with wear, is probably the speculation, and maybe in some cases with how they're made. We also have circles in our built environment as humans. So sometimes we live in and amongst circles. This is a hut in Ethiopia, and all the way to the Shire where we live with circles. They are other parts of our built environment as well. So this manhole cover, which are pretty much always round, and this one's from Prague. Circles have also been part of our decorative tradition as humans. This is another thing along with the manhole cover that one would walk over. This is a kolam from India, design drawn onto the ground, onto the earth or concrete or pavement, whatever. The traditional kolam is done with rice paste. So just rice ground up and mixed with a little bit of water, sometimes even just with rice powder, but often with paste. And then the artist, almost entirely done by women, the woman would dip her finger in that paste and draw this pattern on the ground. This, of course, gets walked on. So they're done in the courtyard or in front of the entranceway to the house daily in some places. And then as people come in and out of the house for the day, it gets trampled, and the next morning it's swept. The doorstep is swept and another one is drawn. I have Indian friends who do this on their doorsteps of their apartments here in Longmont when they're having guests over with chalk. And a lot of different patterns that go into kolams, but this one is particularly based on concentric circles. And here's sort of a related tradition from another part of India. These are often called rangoli. This one is made with colored rice powder, but sometimes they're made with flower petals, which are really beautiful. And these would be more of a festival kind of a thing. This is probably for Diwali with the little oil lamps at the various different sections of it, and the oil lamp in the center. Diwali, the festival of light in the autumn in India. And then another set of circles that one would walk on. This is the floor of the Basilica di San Marco in Venice, Italy, made with pieces of stone that are harvested from older buildings, old Roman buildings primarily. So that circle, that dark green circle in the center would be a slice from a column, from a Roman column. And then the other smaller pieces cut from this marble, various different stones and marbles, and inlaid into this pattern in the floor. I know a tremendous amount about that technique and tradition if anybody's curious. Part of our worshiping environment there in the Basilica of San Marco, but also not just in the floors, but in the walls. And so this is the rose window of Chartres Cathedral in France, one of my favorite rose windows, partly because within the big form of the circle, there are all these other half circles and circles that make up the design. And then those squares, which are just very unusual shape in rose windows. And here's the outside of a different rose window. This is a marvelous feat of geometry here with the concentric circles that make up the whole thing. But then these arches that are weaving together to make this pattern here are made with just over a half a circle, I think, for each one of these arches. And then here's a rose window from a synagogue. This is the Eldridge Street Synagogue in New York City, and you can see very similar design to those other European rose windows, but this one has the Star of David in each one of those florets around the side. And then circles in another religious tradition. This is the ceiling or the inside of the Dome of the Rock in Jerusalem. A very important building in Islam. Actually, tonight is the night of Miraj, which is when the Prophet Muhammad is said to have been mystically transported to Jerusalem, and then from Jerusalem up into heaven to meet with the prophets and eventually to meet with God. This structure, the Dome of the Rock, is built over the site where some people believe that happened. And the artwork in that dome is just stunning, since you can't really see it in the large photo. I'm showing you a close-up of it. So this is that ceiling from close-up, one of the rings with the Islamic calligraphy around this band. Amazing. And how the amount of geometry that goes into taking that repeating design and making it fit within not just a flat circle, but a three-dimensional dome is kind of mind-boggling geometry there. This is a very well-known medieval manuscript called the Book of Kells. And this is a detail of one of the carpet pages. So the entire page is filled with this drawing with all this interlace, but this particular key row page has these marvelous circles with little circles inside them spiraling around. This is from Hildegard of Bingen, a 12th century mystic and abbess, composer of music. Amazing woman from Germany. She had visions that she wrote in a book, and then had these illustrations painted. We don't know if she painted them or if she directed someone else to paint them for her, but they do date back to her time. And in this particular illumination, you can see Hildegard at the lower left-hand corner there, having her vision of cultivating the cosmic tree. And this, another representation of the circle, or another use of the circle representing time, I think, because if you look at the trees, the 12 trees around that circle, or it's not quite 12 because there's some wheat in one of the areas and so on, but they're kind of representing the seasons of the year there. Another completely different part of the world and different religious tradition. This is a Tibetan sand mandala. So this is entirely made with colored sand, usually made by probably 4 monks who draw it together over the course of a week or so to draw this entire thing with the sand. There's a whole rituals and sets of prayers and so on that are going into the drawing of one of these. And then when it's finished, there's a ceremony in which they sweep up all the sand, this whole week's worth of work, and put it in a vessel, carry it to the nearest body of water and pour it into the water so that it'll be carried, those prayers and blessings will be carried out to bless all sentient beings. It's a really amazing tradition. Here is a close-up, not of that one, but of a different mandala pattern, but same technique, just so you can see the 3-dimensionality of those lines of sand. And then here, completely different part of the world, completely different religious tradition. This is not something that's photographed very often. So this was probably done specifically for this photograph. That's an old postcard from the 1950s of a Navajo sand painting that's also centered around a circle. Um, we have also used circles in our human mark making in many non-religious contexts. So these are family crests from Japan, a tradition of where in the West only, ruling families or royalty and so on would have a family crest. In Japan, it was much more common for pretty much every family lineage to have their own crest. So here's a very famous illustration by Leonardo da Vinci, the Vitruvian Man, showing how the human body fits within a circle. Here we're back to Hildegard of Bingen again with another one, the All Beings Celebrate Creation. Her envisioning of, the cosmos and all its beings as being ranks of circles. This is, she lived in the 12th century. Here is Gustave Doré in the late 19th century, envisioning the cosmos and all its beings, all these angelic beings, also as concentric circles. And now we're getting into more modern art. These might be some familiar artists to you who've made art with circles. This is Wassily Kandinsky. He did a whole series of paintings that were squares with concentric circles in them. I mean, he just went to town and did that over and over and over again. Very playful and joyous, and you notice that he's not being the least bit picky about how perfectly round his circles are. This is Robert Delaunay, French artist who did used circles in many of his paintings. This one it's particularly dominant in this painting, which is called Rhythm. And a very, very well-known painting. You've seen this on countless coffee mugs and interpreted in different ways. Vincent van Gogh's Starry Night, with the celestial bodies as being circles. And then this sculpture, someone who took that idea in the early 20th century of the circle and went three-dimensional with it, with these steel rings that became this construction. And now we're up to current day painters, Gabriel Orozco, bunch of paintings that use circles in this very flat style, dividing them in different ways and laying them out in different ways. This one's got this marvelous gold metallic paint in part of it. This is Michael Golan, contemporary artist, and this is a mosaic, but he made the pieces for it. So those round tiles are ceramic tiles that he made and then embedded in together to make a mosaic. This is actually a more or less local artist. Amelia Caruso is in Fort Collins, I believe, and she has a real thing with circles. She does beautiful paintings with these repeated circles here. This is one of my favorite ones. This actually, I think it's called The New Normal, and I think this was painted last year. We are in the new normal she's referring to here. And then this artist, James Brunt, completely different medium and style and so on, but he's what you might call a land artist, uses natural materials in his art, kind of like Andy Goldsworthy. This wonderful piece made with just chunks of sticks, light color and dark color, and then overlaid over light and dark colored soil. I love this piece. couldn't find the title. If it has a title, I couldn't find the title for it. But here's another piece of his. This one, it's a little too dizzying to look at. I can't tell if it's concentric circles or a spiral. I think it might actually be a spiral, but he does a lot of pieces with balanced and standing stones, just using whatever materials are present at the site. So this is almost turning all the way back around to those ancient first things that we saw, human-made things we saw of the land art sculpted in the land in the form of circles. And finally, this one. Now, some people think these are made by aliens. I happen to think they're probably made by extremely creative human artists, but going all the way back around to circles made with nature. So I hope you enjoyed that quick trip through circles in art history. So we're going to do a little circle making ourselves. I'm going to turn on my other camera here. Maybe it's got to think about itself for a minute. There we go. So everybody get out your mark making, your own mark making tools, whatever those might be, pen and paper. And I am going to put on a little piece of music here, and we are going to draw some circles. And what I would recommend for this first attempt at this, or our first exercise with this, is something that I call drawing with the breath. Usually when I do this, I don't do circles. I usually do other shapes. I was looking to see if I had an example here on my desk, but I don't. But it's fun to do with circles. And this is a wonderful way of kind of calming down, which is to breathe in, and then as you breathe out, make a mark. In this case, make a circle. And then when you get to the bottom of your out breath and it's time to breathe in again, lift your pen, breathe in, put it down in a new place, and make another circle. So I'm breathing quickly because I've been talking. So I'm gonna take a deep breath and slow down. And as I breathe out, I'm just gonna draw a circle. And I'm gonna breathe in. And as I breathe out, I'm gonna draw another circle. And I'm gonna keep doing that. They can be touching each other or not. I kind of like to draw them some circles apart like this, and then go back and draw when I'm feeling a little calmer and steadier, and draw circles that connect in between them. And those could be little ones. You could draw more than one circle per breath, or you could breathe very quickly as you draw little circles. That's up to you. Until I just end up with a whole field of circles, filling in the spaces between circles with smaller circles. So I am gonna put on a little piece of music here for us. And we're gonna do this for about 6 minutes or so. So just find yourself, settle in, and draw some circles. And we'll be back in 5 minutes. So I hope you all had fun drawing some circles there. Here's what mine looked like. Didn't quite get through a half a page, but I think I will finish that at some point because it was really fun. Anybody else want to show what they drew? Yvonne, let me spotlight you. Yvonne, hold it real still. Lovely. So you start, I want to know if you started with the really big one. Yeah, that is wonderful. Okay, let's see who else held theirs up here. Okay, Susan. Susan went concentric for us. Hold it really still and that might focus. Yeah, there we go. Nice. And Susan, are those concentric circles or spirals?
Those were starry nights.
Okay.
And then I filled in with just, the little circles.
Okay, nice. So, okay, let's see, somebody else. Joey?
Yes, I don't know how to pronounce it, but Joey, look. Ooh.
Nice. I love your interlocking, overlapping ones, and you are starting to get some of those petal patterns that happen when you overlap circles in a certain way. We saw that in the Acoma pot, had those patterns in it. Lovely. How was the experience of drawing them?
I thoroughly enjoyed that. It was so relaxing to link that with breathing. It was great.
Good, good.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
They'll all be pretty with colored in too.
Yeah.
Especially Joey's was cool. I can picture that all colored.
Yeah.
And then,
who else somebody else was holding theirs up.
Yeah, there it is. There it is.
Oh, nice.
Mm.
Let me pin your video. Unmute and tell us about drawing that.
Oh, yes. I am thinking about children's mind because some children likes the bubble.
Yeah.
And learning weather is very nice of plant. So I am thinking about after raining, float up the rainbow. It makes a happy and bright, I think, in my opinion.
Yeah, wonderful. Thank you. And
Sandy, did you do one? Wait, unmute. Ooh.
Very nice. I love how you have lots of big overlapping ones, and then you have all those little teeny ones filling in the spaces. And so it's very lively.
Yeah. Cool.
All right. Wonderful. Thank you all for sharing what you made. So if you're up for it, we'll do one more a little time of drawing. I have to find a shorter, I was going to do a 15-minute one, but that's about how much time we have left. So I'll find something a little shorter to play for you. And this time, you can, of course, do whatever you want. That's one of the rules about play shops, is there's no rules. But I have a couple of things you might consider. So, and some of you have already done some of those. So you might consider doing concentric ones. You can either do that by starting with a big circle and then making smaller circles within it. And they do not need to be the same distance apart. They don't actually even need to be lined up. You could make them offset a little bit if you wanted, or you can start from the center and make circles going bigger around it. That's fun as well. So that's one option that you might think about. If you feel like doing overlapping circles, I will show you. Let's see, maybe I need to do this over here. You can do them like this with the same size overlapping and 4 of them overlapping 1. And if you keep doing that, these are not very neat because I'm going very fast, but this is a quilt pattern, traditional American quilt pattern. Sometimes it depends on how you color it, what they call it, sometimes called wedding ring, sometimes called robbing Peter to pay Paul. There's another one called cathedral window, which is made with circles like this. There's also a pattern, which I don't know how well I can draw that for you, but let me try because it's really cool, called the Seed of Life, that does that with
baby. Wait.
6 circles overlapping like this, and continues to make these petal shapes as you go out. And each one of these will end up, if you draw it a little more carefully than I'm doing here, you will end up with this these petal shapes. And so the shapes themselves are these kind of seed shapes. And that pattern is called the Seed of Life. So that one, to draw it really well, you have to do it with a compass, but that doesn't look too bad for doing it by hand. Another option is to do the interlocking circles, and here's one I was working on while I was waiting for the meeting to start. Doing interlocking overlapping circles and then going back and widening and rounding out each of the intersections. So you can see on this side that I haven't rounded them out, and then starting about here and over, I've gone and rounded those out so that you're highlighting those connections between the circles. That's there's a technique that was developed by a Russian psychologist called neurographic art that he used with people to help them problem solve, that does this, not entirely with circles, with other kinds of shapes and lines as well. But it's really fun to do those, do the circles and then go back and just fill in, you know, we're rounding out each one of those connections and kind of thickening the lines. So that's another option. And then the final option that I'll tell you, where am I going to do that? On the back of this, I guess, is if you want to start doing a very basic mandala pattern, would be concentric circles and then picking something else, some other pattern or shape or design or something to do within each one of those circles. So doing rays like this, doing, you know, a repeated shape like triangles or petal shapes or something like that. Doing, you could fill with circles inside. And so each ring of your concentric rings filling in with a different kind of a thing. For those of you who've done Zentangle, you could use some of those Zentangle patterns to do that. So that is a very quick way to be drawing a mandala pattern. So now I've given you a bunch of options. Let me hang on just a second while I find a something to play for you that isn't 15 minutes long. Let's see. Okay. We'll do this one. Okay, so let's go back to a little contemplative drawing here. I don't know about you guys, but when I'm doing this, I think, what, it's been 10 minutes already? Like, I want to just keep going. That's, if you do a play shop, they're 2.5 hours long, so you get a lot more play time than this. So I kept going with my sort of neurographic style one that I had started, and
Oh, wow.
started
Nice.
putting some other lines that were not circles intersecting through the circles. And
Yeah,
so
that's cool. Hmm.
anybody else want to show what they did, and or I'd love to
I
hear
did,
you talk about what you did.
I did 2 of them.
Okay, so I'm going to spotlight you, Susan, so we can see. Okay. Oh, so you got, that's a nice kind of the mandala idea, but with the circles offset. So
Offset.
it really looks 3-dimensional. You know, it looks like a bead. Or,
Then I did that one.
ooh, how fun.
So just playing, like you said.
Excellent. There's, you know, that last one that you showed, Susan, it reminded me of a piece of art I was going to put, an artist I was going to put in my slideshow that I forgot to go find a photograph, who does these things with cut paper circles
Oh,
and
yeah.
then stacking them on top of each other. And she paints the paper, they're hand painted papers, usually stacking them on top of each other. And then sometimes she puts little spacers in between them, so they're 3-dimensional.
Cool. Yeah, she just showed one here, and here's one.
Yeah, okay.
You spotlight them.
Yes, Joey, I'm going to spotlight you and you can tell us about yours.
Ooh,
Ooh,
that's cool. Looks like,
I just took a pattern and went with it. I drew a bunch of circles like the first exercise, and then did a real small circle on each of the joins, and I just,
yeah, that's a fun one.
it came out really neat. Yeah.
Yeah,
that is
And it
lovely.
was super meditative. It's I
yeah.
love that, taking that specified amount of time. That was great.
Yeah, and the repetition of, I find this with drawing mandalas as well, but especially what you did, having to go and find each one of those little intersections and draw a little circle there. That's a very like focusing. It's
Yep.
it's
It
focusing.
totally was. And it was at the end, I just kind of looked at it and found a few that I had missed. And
Yeah.
yeah, it was really, really a nice activity.
Okay, Yvonne, I'm gonna spotlight you.
No.
So you did the mandala style. And I
Yes,
love it.
that's nice.
Yeah. Anything you want to tell us about it? You'll have to unmute yourself if you do.
Well,
Okay.
not really. It's not. It's more of an egg shape.
Remember I said right at the beginning of the slideshow that most of those circles in nature and that other humans have done are not perfectly round either.
Right,
Well, this one
mine
isn't.
sure weren't.
I think that this is my standard stump speech. Anybody who's taken a play shop has probably heard me say this in some context or other, that the perfection that we all think our things should be really exact, you can do that with a computer. You know, that's what computers are for.
Yeah, yeah.
Making things by hand, they are inherently inexact. And that is not a bug, it's a feature.
Right.
That's what tells us something is handmade, is that it has that quality of slight imperfection, or maybe more than slight imperfection. And if you look at the two next to each other, if you look at a mandala like that kolam that I showed you drawn on the ground with the rice paste, if you looked at that side by side with the same pattern drawn with a computer program where you just drew one section and it repeated it all the way around, so it was real perfect, you would look at that and you would think, well, the computer one's kind of interesting, but wow, look at that. You know, we would be attracted to the one that was less perfect because it has a human feel to it, that's something that's really exact, never has quite that human feel to it. So never bemoan the imperfection of your circles or anything else you do in art. It's part of what makes it art, not just, you know, something somebody got off the internet.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll get off my soapbox now. Younghwa, you have to tell me how to say your name and then show us your piece.
Oh, yes. Actually, I would like to share with this one.
Ooh.
Oh, nice.
Did you just do that just now?
Oh, I'm sorry. Could you say again, please?
Did you do that just tonight?
Oh, no.
Oh, I was going to say.
I would like to show good one, but I did the circle one. Right now, this one. But I am not finished.
Yes.
As you were
That's
teaching,
nice.
I make some circle one.
Very nice.
I
Yeah.
love it that you were already making circles in your sketchbook before tonight.
Thank you, everybody.
Okay, do we have any more? Because we should let these nice folks go home. Anybody
else want to show us? Sandra, you want to show us?
Sandy? Oh, you're muted. There you go. No.
You must have pushed it twice. You went unmute and then mute again. There you go.
Well,
Okay.
I don't think this is, I kept trying to make little petals and I didn't quite get them to line up.
Oh,
Yeah,
I get that.
I like it though. I like it a lot.
I do
Oh,
too.
that's very sweet.
I like how some are darker, some are lighter.
Yeah, and the dark spots in the middle of them,
Mhm.
and then the dark spots where they overlap, pick up each other.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah, the overlapping and getting the petals thing is if it's, you can do it with a compass and have it be really exact, but if you do it once again, if we compared one drawn with a compass to yours, we would look at yours and go, ooh, that's much more lively. You know, it just has more life to it. So.
True. Well, this is very fun and it's a really nice workshop. We thank you so much.
Yes. Thank you, Janet.
You are very welcome.
It was
If
great.
anybody is interested in taking classes from me directly, the next one coming up this month is mindful mark making, and then I'm teaching circles, but much more expanded with different media besides just pen and paper in April. So you're welcome to send me an email at janartist@gmail.com if you want to find out about those. Play shops are always cost $25 and the materials are included. So for the online ones, I'm sending or dropping off the materials so that you don't have to buy anything to take a play shop.
Janet, how about putting up a schedule for our newsletter?
Sure, I
Yeah.
can do that,
It's
Yvonne.
a great idea. Yeah.
Who should I send it? Who's doing the newsletter these days?
Christina.
Okay.
Yeah. Do you have her email
I
address?
think so, because we emailed about this meeting, right? It's the same
Right.
Christina
If you're not sure, just send it to me and I'll get it to her.
Okay,
You have mine.
yes,
It's on the back of the newsletter also.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm sure I can find it.
Great.
Thank you, Janet. That was fun.
I'm so glad you all had fun. Thank you for playing along with me.
That